The phone had already rung. A quiet house on a Moscow hillside, 4 friends asleep. A white sedan slid past the camera and vanished into the cold. Who drove it, and why? By noon, the front door would open to a silence that changed a town. Weeks earlier, campus moved like a heartbeat. Library lamps, late labs, game day chants. The Palouse rolled in soft gold and green. Friends crowded coffee counters. Life here was ordinary, beloved, almost small enough to hold in one hand. Kaylee Gonzalez laughed in snapshots, planning what came next. A senior, looking outward, she returned to visit friends, to hug her dog, to say, "See you soon." The glow of becoming. A life in motion, unhurried because it felt full. Madison Mogan closed another shift downtown, the clatter of plates fading into night air. Friends, playlists, the corners of a familiar town. She orbited close to Kaylee, best friends since forever. 2 lights moving in step across the same sky. Zaina Kernodle danced between deadlines and laughter, the kind who remembered your coffee order and your birthday. Ethan Chapin matched her stride. Twin grins, shared jokes, weekend plans. The kind of easy joy that makes a house feel like a home. Ethan, triplet, teammate, fraternity brother, carried a quiet steadiness. Weekends meant house parties, campus lawns, the easy drape of an arm around friends. In photos, he stands sunlit, as if the day itself leaned closer to listen.
Their home at 1122 King Road, stacked like a treehouse, 3 levels tucked into a hill, balconies staring into the pines. Inside, posters, throw blankets, a dog bed by the couch. A place designed for weekdays to pass lightly and weekends to sing. Saturday, November 12th, a college town exhaled. Stadium lights cooling, bar doors yawning open. Music leaked into alleys. It felt like thousands of other nights, so ordinary you'd never stop to memorize it. Kaylee and Madison met friends at the corner club, talking across the worn wood of a bar that had heard it all. Music, laughter, a nudge to take one last photo. The night widened, unthreatening, like a familiar road you walked blindfolded. Near 2 a.m., a food truck lens captured them, waiting under steam and streetlight glow, 2 figures framed by midnight. Pasta, chatter, the small choreography of hands and smiles. Then the walk toward a ride and the road curling home. Investigators later set the timeline. A lift home around 2 a.m., phones lighting with calls to a familiar name, the front door closing behind them. Upstairs, the soft gravity of sleep. The house drifted toward dawn, unaware a place in history. Zaina and Ethan returned from a fraternity gathering after 1:45 a.m., still threaded to campus buzz. A food delivery later would timestamp a life in motion. Warm bag on a doorstep in the cold. A thank you text. Crumbs that would outlast sleep. Downstairs, 2 roommates settled in, doors shut, the ordinary hush of late-night student living. A heater ticked. The dog turned in circles and slept. Streetlights shifted along blinds like slow rivers of pale fire. Around the neighborhood, multiple cameras caught a white sedan circling, idling, returning. The Palouse is a place of long views and quiet nights, so a loop becomes a signature, and a signature can become a name. According to a later affidavit, a particular phone had pinged near this house many times in prior weeks. Paths cross in small towns. Digital crumbs do not forget. A pattern was forming, unseen then, reconstructed later under fluorescent light. Near 4 a.m., the delivery arrived. In the upstairs rooms, phones stilled. Outside, the frost deepened. Inside, sudden noises, a thump, a murmur, began a chain of minutes that would echo for months across the nation. One roommate later told police she heard crying, then a calm male voice. "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Words that can comfort or chill,
depending on what the walls know. The house listened and held its breath. She opened her. A figure in black, a mask over nose and mouth, passed by. Dark eyebrows, tall. He moved with purpose down the hall and out into the night. The lock clicked. Silence returned, heavy as stone.
Hours slipped by. Friends stopped to check in late morning. At 11:58 a.m., a call from a surviving roommate's phone. An unconscious person. Officers arrived to a scene that will live forever in their silence. The dog was found unharmed. Inside, 4 young lives gone. The city siren never sounds for grief, but word moves faster than winds on wheat. Phones lit. Parents called. The campus heartbeat stumbled. Autopsies would state it plainly. Fatal stab wounds from a fixed blade knife. No sign of sexual assault. The interval of death, the medical language of endings. Each sentence a weight that families must now carry forever. Briefings began. A tight-lipped podium, questions like hail. The chief promised methodical work, offered little else. Rumor sprinted, truth limped by design. Real investigations move on the quiet side of the map. Tip lines flooded. Hunters checked trail cams. Students left town in caravans. The ordinary sounds of a semester, zippers, lectures, bells, thinned to a whisper. Fear is a fog. It erases what the street looked like yesterday. A white Hyundai Elantra, seen near the scene, model years noted. A bolo fired across police networks. Cameras that watched for shoplifters and taillights would become witnesses that never blink. State troopers, FBI agents, and local detectives braided their work. Geofences, doorbell cams, traffic poles. A city became a sensor. The night played backward, frame by frame, until patterns began to talk. In a bedroom upstairs, a tan knife sheath had been left behind. On its button, a male DNA profile, unknown then. Science keeps the light on after night falls. The profile entered databases. Silence waited. Across the border in Pullman, a white Elantra sat under winter light. Investigators' focus, according to filings, turned to a Washington State University doctoral student in criminology, Bryan Kohberger, a name now braided to the thread. Records summarized later allege the car traced night loops through Moscow, a phone that went dark during key hours, then reappeared on the highway. The net drew tighter, 1 quiet mile at a time. Winter break approached. A father and son drove east in a white sedan, crossing plains and toll booths. In Indiana, 2 traffic stops, hours apart, caught them on camera. Routine, almost boring. History often wears a gray coat. Back east, agents collected family trash, a lawful search that tests DNA by degrees of kinship. The lab compared what was thrown away to what was left behind on a sheath. Probabilities became arrows pointing home. December 30. Before dawn, tactical vests on fresh snow. A door breached. A name called. A suspect in custody. Neighbors woke to blue strobes flickering off icicles, and the news sprinted west with the sun. Extradited to Idaho, the suspect faced a courtroom for the first time there. The probable cause affidavit unsealed. Vehicle paths, cell data, a surviving roommate's account, and that DNA on the sheath. Each thread placed, not yet tied. At arraignment, a not guilty plea was entered. Prosecutors later noticed their intent to seek the death penalty. This is where accusation meets law, a tight corridor patrolled by rules that keep fire from becoming wildfire. Motions begin to stack, challenges to cell site analysis, to genealogy methods, to cameras in the room. A gag order narrowed who could speak. Discovery moved in bankers' boxes and encrypted drives. The town gathered with candles, thousands of small suns in a stadium dark. Names were read, bells tolled. In the stands, shoulders touched.
Grief braided strangers into something like a single hand to hold. Families spoke of kindnesses and inside jokes that won't fade. Scholarships launched in their names. The measure of a life refuses to be a headline. It keeps arriving as a memory at breakfast, a song in the car, a sunset at 4:32. The house on King Road was boarded, the driveway cleared. Then, months later, taken down. An absence where a story lived. Grass and gravel, a new horizon through the trees, and a space some felt might help healing breathe. More patrols, rides at night, keycard checks. Safety can't undo sorrow, but it can keep trying. Students returned in pairs, voices lower, eyes sharper at corners where light failed. Online, speculation roared. Real people were named, then unnamed. The sheriff asked for care. Facts had a process. Behind the noise, a small team pushed papers, parsed frames, and let the evidence speak in nouns, not thunder.
Kaylee, brimming with plans. Madison, golden hour laughter. Xana, spark that found you in a crowd. Ethan, the steady shoulder. Grief is a lens. When we look through it, faces come closer, sharper, truer. The suspect's studies in criminology drew headlines. Papers read, questions asked in seminar rooms about minds and methods. Curiosity is not destiny. In court, only evidence becomes proof, and only a jury can say what it means. As hearings schedule and reschedule, time stretches. For families, waiting is its own weather. For the accused, the presumption of innocence stands, sturdy as statute, calm as paper, until a verdict writes a different sentence. The machinery of a capital case hums. Experts retained, exhibits logged, juror questionnaires drafted. The stakes cannot be overdrawn. 4 lives ended, 1 life on trial, and a community carrying them both into the room. We don't know the why. Prosecutors have not alleged a public motive. Sometimes the shape of a night is all the story we get. Footsteps, headlight arcs, a door left ajar, and the rest remains an ache that language can't find. They left a legacy of kindness that refuses to end. Funds in their names, benches under trees, a habit of checking on friends. The Palouse keeps their silhouettes against its hills, like constellations you learn by heart. The white car, the hush before noon, 4 names spoken now like prayers. Justice moves, careful, slow, while memory runs. If you listen on cold nights, you can still hear the campus heartbeat finding its rhythm again. Remember them.